Hey everybody, it's your boy Steve. I have hadn't had a chance really to make any videos in the last couple of weeks. I have been doing some training. I'm also back in school, so I'm doing a little part-time gig while I'm doing my digital media stuff, and got my just busy as hell. So I haven't been able to make any videos, but this article and this story popped up, and I really wanted to discuss this topic because it seems that with schools reopening, the pandemic kind of settling down, people are deciding, let's get back to the norms. They just forgot what the fuck they meant by those norms. And for adults, it's fighting over stupid shit, and for kids, it's going right back into being bully dick assholes. And here we have an extreme case of that with a kid who's been bullied repeatedly throughout the semester. And it seems nobody did anything, and it got to the point where the kid decided a good idea would be to leap out of the fucking window of his school bus. And what's wild about this story, I think what bothers me the most about this is the dad's account at the end of the video I'm about to show you, the interview, that it doesn't seem like this kid will fit the criteria of what you in your brain are imagining about a kid getting bullied. Like why they're being bullied. He's probably pocket protector wearing nerd or whatever it is in your head that you want to encapsulate the stereotypical bully victim, like almost like they deserve it. Like whenever we think of bullies, a lot of people say the people that they bully probably deserve it. And it sounds wild. I mean, but I've heard it from friends. I've heard it from family. Like, he needs to learn how to defend himself. And that's the only way you do it. Now, I'll tell you a story after this video about how I learned that the hard way, because I didn't go to school like everybody else did. And I'll tell you that after this video. So check it out. Watch the interview, the story from Fox News, Fox 5 Atlanta. And you got to see it, man. It's crazy. Like, this is just fucked up. So here we go.
Breaking story in Walton County.
That's where a middle school student is recovering from injuries after jumping out of the window of a school bus Wednesday when he was hit by a passing pickup truck and thrown onto Highway 81.
Newshead reporter Alex Whitler spoke with the boy's father, who tells her that his son was trying to get away from bullies.
The boy's father says he was so desperate to get away from pushy bullies that he jumped out of the bus window. He's now recovering from a broken elbow and a concussion. His family says they've reported previous bullying incidents in the past, but this one pushed him too far.
My son could have lost his life.
A school bus surrounded by Georgia State Patrol, fire trucks, and an ambulance unsettled drivers Wednesday. But none of them were as shaken up as Dion Murphy and his family.
Death, because first thing I'm thinking is jumping out the window on a bus. I'm thinking it was moving.
He says his son jumped out of the bus while it was at a red light because bullies pushed him over the edge.
At this moment, he felt like his back was against the wall.
Murphy says he watched video from the bus at a meeting with the youth middle school principal Friday.
Well, one student jumped in his face. He was pushing him against the window. Then when he fell, the other student grabbed his shoe and he wanted to get back to him. And my son felt like a desperate need to escape it. He jumped out the window.
Investigators say the 11-year-old landed on top of a pickup truck and then fell on the highway on the route home.
It broke my heart because it's like, this situation should never happen. This is something that we should have been dealt with.
Murphy says older students have bullied his son on the bus all year and met with school leaders in March. Friday's meeting addressed all the reports.
Girl was hitting on him too as well. It's another tape of him being drugged down the aisle. It's another tape, that the one I seen today, that the boy had pushed him. There's more tapes. Like, there's a lot more tapes of this situation happening. And that's why I'm so upset, because the school literally neglected the bullying act and did not do nothing about it.
A representative for Walton County Schools did not immediately provide Fox 5 with a copy of the videos, but they did send a statement that reads in part, quote, "School and district officials are aware of the bullying allegations. The Walton County School District does not tolerate bullying and harassment of any kind. The incident is being thoroughly investigated by school officials, and any disciplinary issues that may arise will be handled appropriately." The school district has not commented on the disciplinary action it has or will take. The 11-year-old is no longer enrolled at Youth Middle School. Alex Whitler, Fox 5 News.
All right, so there you have it. It's a pretty wild story, man. So that kid got bullied. There's a lot of video of it. Hasn't leaked yet, but give it a couple more days and one of these kids are gonna post it up if they haven't already. I haven't really taken the time to search for the videos, just because I don't want to end up on a fucking watch list, looking for teen fight videos. It's stupid. But they will get released, and people will see whether or not this kid is being bullied as bad as they say. But according to the dad, that they've been dealing with this throughout. This isn't like a new thing. This kid's getting bullied and beat up all the time. And we're seeing it more and more and more. There's a lot more videos coming out of a lot more kids suffering bullying. Not everybody's built to fight. You know what I mean? Some kids they're not built for that shit. Or confrontation. Not even just a physical fight. Because some people ain't into the mental game. Like, some people just can't go back and forth. So you can't just count on, like, oh, everybody knows how to throw hands. I've seen dudes, like, verbally slap fight somebody. I've seen them, like, just talk you into, like, a corner, and you're just like, well, whatever, and you stomp off, because you don't have a fucking defense. So this kid is neither one of those, it seems. Or there's just too many of them. There's too many attackers, and he's just getting hit from every end. But it seems like it's the mob mentality against him. And this happens a lot, where a kid gets ganged up on, and then he becomes the target. I watched it in high school with a dude who later on became a good friend of mine. But at the very beginning, he was the target of that stuff. Like, a lot of people were just like, he's a dork. And it kind of got permeated. And then girls were like, he's weird. And then the guys were like, he's a dork. And then everybody would bust his chops. Now, if everyone collectively just has an assumption that you're like a dork or a douchebag, without really confirming it or befriending you or whatever, then they take on a mob mentality. And I watched it firsthand. I watched several people go through that, where I don't think they were ever given really a chance to be, not necessarily part of the cool crowd, but like given a chance to just be like friends. Like, hey, have a cool group of friends. And so what ends up is, that kind of that boxes them into a corner where they just have to become an asshole, in order to make a statement and to put themselves on the offensive. They become an asshole. So they either fulfill the bullshit that you boxed them into, or they just start, becoming a real jerk because you've made them into that. And it's kind of fucked up. But this kid, like, it's like the foundation of every horror story where, Jason Voorhees got bullied and Michael Myers bullied and all this shit. Like, that's what happens here. Like, that's the foundation of those horror stories. But we see them manifest, and a lot of times those kids don't end up doing that. They either end up becoming school shooters, like no one should be surprised if we hear a year or two from now that kid comes back to the school with a gun and starts shooting people up. And I hate to say that, but like, this is it. Like, you've sprinkled in all the ingredients for a Colorado fucking event. And then you wonder why it happens. Nobody steps in. Everybody stands there with their fucking camera. Oh, this is cool. Watch him getting beat up. He. Instead of helping the kid out, you watch him get his ass whipped. And then you wonder why. You wonder why you have a problem where a child mentally becomes a man, becomes an adult. And they go, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to solve this problem. Y'all going to learn today. And that's the thing, is that the internet and places that, the not YouTube, but like old Live Leak is gone now, but websites that showed like a lot of gore and real true to life, like raw video, unedited, just crazy shit. Those are not video games. You know what I mean? That imaginary world of, this is why I'm not into gaming. Like, a lot of people that I know that are into gaming are also simultaneously like internet bullies. Like, there's no coincidence there that people that I know that are hardcore gamers are also internet bullies. Like, they cyberbully people all day. They're like, oh, whatever, you're a fucking... But if I kick in their door and put a gun in their mouth, piss and shit themselves. They're the same. They're pussies. Like, and that's the problem, is that pussies torture innocent people, or maybe people who aren't working with the same flow of mental traffic that you are. Maybe they're in a slow lane, and you beat them up and you verbally abuse them, and then other people want to be on your side, so then they just kind of join your little mental gang of bullshit, and you bully them. And that happens in school, and you get these kids. We see this all the time. These kids, this is the prototype. You're watching it in development. There's R&D, and there's fucking, this is it. And you got a kid who had to get pulled out of school because he decided to leap out of a fucking school bus window, fell and broke his arm, landed on a fucking truck. Are you kidding me? You know what type of desperate measures shit that is? You mean to tell me he's not having some sort of psychological breakdown right now with his arm in a cast, talking to his dad, shadowboxing in the corner like Major Payne? Man, get the fuck out of here. That kid is a killer in the making. If the CIA doesn't step up and grab him and throw him in a program, he's going to do one of his own. And we're going to be fucking watching on the news, sending our thoughts and prayers to his victims. And this shit happens all day. I was looking up this video. I found like 5 other videos of since school came back in the session with the COVID stuff, new bullying scenarios. Girls getting a 5-year-old. A fucking 5-year-old got jumped by other 5-year-olds. What in the fuck is happening? Are you kidding me? There is no way on God's green earth you're going to tell me that shit is just par for the course. I grew up in the Bronx. Everybody had a gun in my school. Growing up, we all had guns, knives. I mean, still to this fucking day, I've got weapons everywhere. Are you kidding me? I'm an avid Second Amendment fan. Are you bullshit? Oh, people from New York are liberals. You could eat a dick. There ain't nobody in the hood that's a liberal. That idea that oh, they're all liberals. No. Everybody there has a gun to protect themselves from some fucking crazy asshole. But what happens is collectively, we're all armed. Everybody's fucking armed. I'm telling you, going to school in New York, ask anybody who went to school in the South Bronx, White Plains Road, IS 174 before that shut down, Stevenson High School. Ask anybody who went to these schools and tell me like how many times, how many people they knew had a weapon on them. I at all times had a weapon, if not 2. I used to carry a fake 45. It was a replica 45, and that thing was fantastic. And then a security guard called me with it, and he was cool as shit, and he snatched it. He was like, you better take that shit home. He didn't take it from me. He didn't do anything. He told me to take it home, and that was it. That's because that's how dangerous school was. But it wasn't dangerous in the way school is today. I am much happier that I went to school back then where I could count on the type of injuries and robberies and shit we could get. There was no random school shootings. There wasn't an angry bullied kid coming into school saying, that's it, motherfuckers, click. That wasn't happening. Ever. You know what was happening? Like, one set was talking shit about another, and one of the little kids was like the little brother or whatever. Everybody was talking smack, and they would meet up in front of the school, and there'd be like a fight, and maybe one person had a gun, and it would go off, and nobody got hit. Or if they did, it was like a leg wound. But there was like, it was bullshit. It was all like hood bullshit. It wasn't this like where life-ending multiple homicides. I'm killing everybody in the room, buddy. None of that shit. No, we aren't thinking that. No, everybody's there. Like, I remember I was a hall monitor. This is the funniest shit in the world. I was a hall monitor, ISO 74. And there was a gang of dudes I could hear running. And I was like, what the fuck? So I opened the door and I'm looking through the hallway. And there's like 5 kids my age, 13, 12, 13, 15-year-olds, so the fucking dummies that got left back. And they're running towards me full steam. And they were like, yo, this nigga's got a gun. And I was like, what? And they were like, you better run. And they took off. They blew by me down the stairs. And I looked, and these 2 cats with guns were running. And they started running at me. And I was like, hey, I'm just a hall monitor. And they were like, keep doing a good job, son. And these dudes were like in their 30s. And they came running away because one of those kids jumped their fucking family member. No one got shot. They chased all those kids out of school. One problem solved another. Now, look, I don't condone any of that shit. This was the 90s, and it was a wild, wild west and not a nightmare shit that happened. But I could tell you that even then, I felt safer than I would if I was a child now in school. Because the internet has emboldened people. They're all fucking, look at me, I'm a tough guy. Yo, I'll fuck with you. Yo, I would rip you in half. Dudes that I know would tear you to shreds. These people, but that's not the point, though. It's because they could ruin your life digitally. We are one dick pic away from getting absolutely having your life ruined and never getting a job again or ending up on a fucking, a watch list. It's nonsense, man. It's fucking nonsense. But these people that let this shit go on in the school system and the parents of the kids that are doing the bullying, and you know your kid, don't be in fucking denial. Not my Timmy. He's a good boy. Eat a dick. Timmy is a bastard. Timmy's a bastard. When you're not around, he's twisting frog heads off and shit. Nah, man, fuck that kid. And fuck you for raising him. Because what he's doing is he's creating someone else's murderer. And you don't see it. And you don't acknowledge it. You pretend like if I keep feeding this thing, he'll be better someday. No, beat his ass, show him the right moves, and make sure that like he treats other people with respect. Because one day, Dion's son is not going to be the bullied. He's going to be the bullier. And we're all going to pay for it. We're all going to be sending our thoughts and prayers to this fucking, the families of the Atlanta Columbine massacre, because we watched this shit. This isn't a one-time event. Are you kidding me? All we did was, we want our freedoms back. Our freedoms to what? Watch your kids torture other kids? That's it. That's all you've done. You've done nothing. You've added nothing to society. You've made no one better. Everyone's worse for it. You know, they're not learning anything that's going to make them any money, and they're getting their asses whipped. It's a fucking double-edged sword. Homeschool them. Fuck it. He's better off sitting in front of YouTube or Udemy and paying $10 a month to get educated on a job he might be able to get than go back to school and keep getting his ass whipped by a bunch of kids who probably won't have a future if they continue that too. It's such a fucking a mouse wheel of just spinning stupidity, and it boggles the fucking mind that we got to keep doing this. Like, I feel like it's Groundhog's Day every time these scenarios happen. I can't believe they bullied him. Oh, the school system, we don't tolerate that. Yeah, you fucking do. Yeah, you do. You tolerate it because no one's been made an example of. What you need to do is box those kids in a corner and then show them what's going to happen. Show them the video, the cop footage, the camera footage that I found on LiveLeak before it got taken down of every school massacre when you walk through and there's kids' bodies and shit everywhere. The real fucked up stuff. Tell them that that's what they're responsible for if they keep this up. That's it. And if their parents aren't kicking their ass, you kick their ass. I got my ass beat as a kid. I ended up all right. I mean, sure, I might have been better without some of those beatings, but that's not the point, though. I'm not a school shooter, and I understand throttling your fucking behavior, but these people don't. They ganged up on that kid on a fucking bus to the point where he decided, you know what? I'm out. And Superman his way onto a fucking hood of a truck and got hurt. Are you kidding me? Come on, man. So anyways, I know what I know, and I know what I went through. And, I forgot to tell you the story of the bully. The bully situation. Growing up, my life was fucking nuts, and I got some wild stories. But I didn't go to school like the rest of the kids did. Like I never got enrolled in the beginning, and so when I finally got enrolled, because we were kind of shifting from place to place, I got introduced to the school bus life, and this is where this story kind of hit me, right? See, the school buses are territorial things for kids. Kids kind of like create cliques on the school bus, and and I didn't know any of that. I never been on a school bus, and it was like second grade. And because I never went to kindergarten or first grade, I just had to test in because, again, we were living like a nomadic life. And I got on the school bus, and first day, and this the local bully, the kid that just starts fights with everybody. He's like, yo, 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 and he gets on the bus, and everybody's high-fiving him and shit. And I had just came in from the streets, and I was, I'm not there with it, and I don't know how to deal with a bunch of kids. Like, all I know are like the kids that I know in my neighborhood and like family, and my mom was married into a biker gang. And so, big up to anybody who remembers the old school Bronx biker gangs, but that's the shit I grew up in, biker houses and some pretty crazy stuff. So, like, I wasn't used to, like, hi there, Timmy, and all that shit. I was like, nah, who's going to get knifed in here, And this kid, I just sat down. I didn't know anything about this. I don't know school etiquette. I don't know seat etiquette. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I walk in, I sit down because the school bus driver, I had like a ticket, and I was like, huh? And he was like, yeah, just go in the back. What the fuck is wrong with you? And I was like, Yeah, I guess. And so I walk towards the back, and the funniest shit happened, right? So I go about halfway, and I see everybody's like looking at me like, ugh, who is this? Oh, get him away from me. And because I was wearing like a shirt that was like a little tight, I think, and I looked homeless. I was fucking, I was a fucking vagrant. It was like my first day of school, and everybody else had cool clothes on, and I didn't. I had Pathmark Velcro kicks. I never had shoes that like until I got older to tie laces, and so they were all making fun of me instant, like, yo, look at this dude, he's dressed like a herb, yo, and I'm like, please don't bully me, but I don't know what bullying is, and not in that sense, and not the way kids target you and they hone in on you, right? And so there I am, I sit down, I find a seat, I was like, fuck it, I sit down, and I was like, I'm all alone, everybody's kind of like paired up, and they're all talking, standing up, and they're talking shit to each other, and this, like 3 or 4 kids start walking up to me, and the seat, like, the row next to me, he sits, the 2 cats sit down, and then the next kid comes up, and he looks at me, he's like, yo, you in my seat, son, and I was just like, so I literally thought, like, when he said that, I took it literally, because I was like Captain Literal at the time, and I look at the back of the seat thinking, maybe his fucking name's on it, like, literally, and I was like, I don't see your name here. And he was like, you better get your bitch ass up. And I was just like, I was like, why? And I said, why all the hostility? Because I don't know how to deal with kids yet. I'm not. And if you're going to bring that, I'm going to shank you. And I had a knife in my bag. So I was like, I'm going to fuck this kid up. And so I was like, oh, bet. And I didn't know what to do. And I was like, oh, wow, he's like really mad. I was like, nah, all right, man, yo. And he was like, oh, no, it's too late. Yo, you got a problem. And as I'm getting up, and I was a little bigger than those kids because I was a little older, because again, I lived a nomadic life, and that's code for like we ain't have a place. So like and I just ate like whatever fucking shit they could shovel in my face. So at the time I was turning wrenches in a garage, and I was 2nd grade. So believe me when I tell you I was an angry fucking kid, and I never conceptualized that. And anyways, I also didn't know how to hit anybody. I knew I could fuck him up, but I didn't know how. And so what ended up happening was he looked at me, and I stood up, and he was like, what you gonna do, big boy? I'll fuck you up. And before he finished that sentence, I open hand slapped him as hard as I could. Just fragada. And I hit him so hard that he like cartoonishly spun around and fell into the seat and started crying. And I thought, oh shit, I'm gonna get my ass whipped now, because all his boys were there. And I was like, yo, who the fuck you talking to like that? You ain't my mom, because the only person to yell at me was like people in my family like that. And that was my reaction, because I hadn't been around kids like this. I'm used to like dirty bikers and shit. And when people are about to swing, we're gonna throw it. I'll fucking hit you in the kneecap with an arm bar. You know what I mean? Like that's just, I didn't conceptualize like that. I'm dealing with children, and like we are also kids. Like I never thought I was a kid. I was just like, my nickname, I'll never tell you. I'll never say this on video, but my nickname was given to me because I came everywhere and did everything with the adults. All the illegal shit, all the crazy stuff. If they went out stealing, I was with them. If they went out to do some wild shit, I was with them. But I was like, I always had a babysitter to the most amazingly crazy shit ever. And so that gave me like an onus, like in self-respect. Years later, I had to realize like that also let me like realize like I was treated with respect, which is different than I think a lot of people treat kids, that they knock kids down. And so when you knock a kid down and they want to look for someone to put under them. And when you do that and you keep psychologically telling, like there's this tiered system, this pyramid, and that, the parent is at the top and the kids are pieces of shit, then that kid's looking for a piece of shit underneath him. And that's where the bullying feels like it comes from. And kids that are dominated want to dominate. And I was always treated kind of like an equal, you know what I mean? Like when shit was going down in the neighborhood, if there was a fight breaking down, I was there. If I wasn't running away to go get a weapon or, slide a mag to somebody because wild shit would happen, I was helping. I was never like the, oh baby, you boy, let me keep you in a fucking bandage. Nah, I really got dogged out, but I got treated like an adult, so that showed me that like we're all equals if we want to be. If we want to be treated that way, we earn it, but also it's what you give people. And so I got that early on as a kid. So I had to grow up quick. I didn't have any time to be a kid in that sense, but I noticed that other kids who were real tough, like when they're like, yeah, yo, you ain't never, they were getting that at home. It was just one of those things that like, you bring out the worst in people if you're a piece of shit. And I know for a fact that that guy is going to bring out a demon, that those kids are going to bring out a demon with the child that they've bullied in Atlanta. And it sounds like it was a nightmare for that kid. It sounds like he got bullied horrendously. And I think that if it didn't get stopped by the bus driver, and if it didn't get stopped by teachers, and this was an ongoing issue that people didn't address and didn't take seriously, they brought it on themselves when that kid turns into a shooter. And I'm just saying, I hope he doesn't, man. I hope he never goes back to that school. I hope he realizes one day that all those kids are going to be fucking bums. Some of them are going to end up on the news for getting shot at because they think that they're tough. Some of them are going to end up cops. But all you have to do is reinforce the idea that that kid has some self-worth, that he ain't, and if he is annoying, and some kids that get bullied because they're fucking annoying. Like they're a target. They get bullied because but do they deserve it? Nah, I don't think so. They just probably deserve like you to make fun of them, not beat them up. Get physical with a kid just because he's a dork, just fuck with him. Be like, yo, and then maybe show him his ways. I got an old friend that I had to educate a little bit. I was like, yo, I don't think you know this, but everybody thinks you're a fucking laughingstock. Like have some self-respect. Like we're in our 40s now. You know what I mean? Like you got to stop that shit. Like when it was adorable in high school when you were like the aloof friend, but after a while it's like, nah, we fucking pity you, bro. Like stop that. Just stop. These people ain't your friends. They use you to make themselves feel better. But the thing about that is as you get older, for some it stings worse, man, and they carry that shit with them. And I just feel bad for this kid and his dad and his family, because his dad looks like his dad don't take no shit. I feel like if his dad had more of a say, he'd come in that school and start swinging on some parents. He'd fuck up some of these kids because, like, that's his boy, But at the same time, it's like, damn, you need your kid to defend himself, but not everybody's built for that. And you can't get mad at him. You can't be mad if your kid just isn't built for violence and he isn't, if he wasn't trained from a very early age on fucking people up or psyching yourself out mentally for of the aftermath and being okay with not being okay, like being okay with like not giving a shit about friends and your clique and all that, and doing what's right over doing like what's cool. If you're okay with that, and a lot of kids, they're not. The ones that are loners, or they got something else that they rely on and that relies on them for affirmation. But I don't know about this kid. Anybody that got bullied that much and nobody stood up for him, it's fucked up, man. I feel like he's going to come back and he's going to be whipping somebody's ass. So, or just emptying a drum into that school if those kids don't apologize. So that's the makings. And I hope that this pandemic response of coming back to hyper violence and everybody fighting and these school kids fucking beating each other up and bullying. I don't know what the hell happened. The internet didn't help. I mean, there's been bullying since the beginning of time, I guess. But how do you have that conversation with your kid? I don't know, but I know that most parents of kids who bully know that their kid is a bully. They just lie to themselves and they say he's a good kid. He's probably not. Nah. He's probably the neighborhood jackass stealing shit. No, but he's got a good soul. Everybody's got a good soul. Just a terrible fucking heart or brain. That's it, man. So anyways, if that dad ever watches this video, I truly hope, man, I wish him the best with this. I hope that his kid is okay, and I hope his kid doesn't make any bad decisions, because those kids are pieces of shit that did this to him, and nothing good will come to them because of this. Because if they're bullying him like this, they probably have some pretty bad lives. They're maybe going home to bad shit, or their futures don't hold much if they're going to bully people like this. Just don't let those kids become cops. Identify them early on. If they're part of this, this needs to be a part of a record that says, hey, you were a bully at one. Why did you do that? Do you have remorse? But the flip side of it, maybe it's his son that becomes the cop. I don't know, and comes after these kids, and people like that. Which, if he does it for the right reasons, it's great. You know, power in the right hands can create justice. Power in the wrong hands, we've seen it. We've seen how many black people die at the hands of a fearful white cop. And how many citizens, not just black people, just citizens, just getting shot and killed over fear. It's just true fear. And a lot of times you look at that cop and you see their history, and they're bullies. They're fucking bullies. So, anyways, I could rant about that because all the nuances of like the personality disorders that come along with the job of policing, and that seemed to grow. How I watched friends who became a cop like change over the years, and I watched it. And I was like, I didn't even want to admit it. I was like, man, I love these people. I know they're good. But as the years rolled on, you could see them like they went from like, hey, yeah, man, fucking have a beer, to like the glasses and like, I hate darkies. And it's like, what the hell happened to you, man? And it's like, it's just weird. It's just sad thing to watch, you know, but it's kind of the evolution of age, and we kind of deal with it. But I don't know. When it comes to these kids getting bullied, we got to do something about that, because the pandemic didn't make this shit any better. The social media campaigns about bullying didn't do shit. The minute we got out of the pandemic, bullying amplified. People were like, I'm back in school, I'm ready to kick some ass. Why? I don't know. I don't know what happened. But it's bad. It's fucking bad. And we're going to see a lot more Columbines happening if we don't stop it. So, anyways, I'm done. Thank you for listening. Comment down below, like I said. And I'll tell you more cool, crazy, fucked up stories of this man's wild-ass childhood.